No, other than that, we said like, hey, we're always going to keep it educational. We're always going to help other people make money, right? But other than that, it's like, well, we still need to get people in the door. And I think it's like, okay, with those three things we can commit to, like, we'll get people in the door. Like, I'll go knock on doors. I don't really care. Like, I'm going to go. People are going to know we're here and they're going to like what we're doing.
I think that we've always been the type of people that have a personality to gravitate towards good energy, right? And we bring good energy. I think that's a combination that people see when they walk in the door. I tell people when it comes to business partners, one thing we've learned in the first years of business is you have to choose the right business partner. And it's such a hard thing to do, right? Because there's so many people out there that once they see something in you, they see an opportunity in you, right? They want to join forces. They got an idea because everyone has ideas, right? Everyone always has ideas, right? It's a matter of, is it a good idea, right? And is it going to work? And, what's the game plan for it, right?
Well, why are you in it? Because we've always been great with like, let's collaborate, let's work on it, let's do things together. But at the same time, we've also had a lot of people that have had great ideas that we say, okay, let's do something as well. And then it's just like, yeah, but you have to put in the work,
Well,
like you have to actually show up. And then it's like that in itself is hard to find as a right partnership for a business. Not necessarily from like you and I or owner standpoint. I think that there's also a lot more incentive involved from like, you're putting in a lot of time and money anyways, but being able to like work with someone else that's also going to be willing to do those things and show up no matter what.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're a business owner, you have no choice, right? Your motivation is to get up every day and say, I got to feed myself, right? I got to make some money. And if I sit at home and I do nothing, I play video games, like, don't really learn anything that day to advance my career, right? Like I can't fathom like just sitting at home and just sleeping in and saying, all right, well, I'll get at it tomorrow. You got to start off in the beginning to where your mindset changes, the frequency, the idea that you have to connect with every single person that you meet, right? Because you have to sell them your story. You have to give an elevator pitch, right, to anyone you meet. We've spoken like broken records, like, right? I mean, we still to this day, because we're still educating. When you have a new product like what we do, a new service, you have to tell people, just like in business, and like, why should I give you my business? Why should I give you my hard-earned money? Well, this is why we have we have a service, we have a product, we offer this opportunity, right? And it's presenting yourself too, almost like an artist, because it's your pride and work, right? It should be, at least. And if it's your career path, it's your profession, if it's your business, there's a reason why you're doing it, right?
I think that the other thing you got to think about when you're starting a business is that you're not going to make it on your own. Like
No.
It's never that way. Yeah, it's going to take you to be the driving force, but because it's your business in the end. But at the same time, it's like, just be good to people, right? Like, because then they're going to want to be good back to you, and they're going to help you along the way. I mean, I can't tell you how many lessons we've learned just from our clients that are also happen to be business owners, and they give you tips and advice, and and you're good to them. And sometimes they're like, hey, I got an opinion about something. Like, yeah, for sure, and bring it, because I want to learn, I want to grow, and ultimately they are our customers too. So I mean, it's like, give them what they want.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you this. There's many good things you just said right there. The cool thing about listening, right? You talk about, you don't know everything, and we don't know anything. We're not the experts. We're not gurus. Like, we're trying to make it just like any other business. But what we've learned along the way is the information that you can pass on to other people that they won't teach you in books, right? These are things you have to feel and kind of just guess, right? And these are the little key moments that judge and almost define what happens in your career as a business, right? And if you do things like, for example, learn to listen and then hear what they're saying and act on it because of the consumer, do what the consumer wants, right? That's really, I mean, that's why you're in business. It's consumer driven, right? So listen what the customers want, give them what they want, right? If something bad happens, fix it, right? Everyone makes mistakes. People just want things fixed and corrected.
And own up.
I know, yeah, own up to it. Be honest with people. That's the thing. You never want to come across as someone who would cross your words and you'd be like, oh, well, you contradicted what you said and all that. You don't want to give any kind of approach to that and give any kind of, you don't want people to entertain that idea, right? And so your customers are everything, and so the relationships that you build with everyone, from your networking events to your friends of the friends when you go to parties, to the fact that you carry a business card in your pocket at all times, because you just never know when you talk to someone, and those genuine word of mouth referrals are what brings people back. Because if you have someone who loves your service and your product so much that they're going to bring a family member or a loved one to come in and experience your service, that speaks wonders. That's a good referral, because nothing's going to beat advertisements on Facebook or Instagram like that, because a loved one comes in, they're like, well, my friend told me, my wife told me this, and try this or whatever, and it's like they said it was awesome. And that's what you want, right? So then the last thing that I think that you probably know, Baldo, is that you got to take care of people. Right. Like, you just got to take care of people, because these clients and your customers, they become your friends. They become the people who root for you, because they see and they believe in you as a small business and what you're trying to do for the community. And you're grateful for it. Like, you really, really are. Right. And a lot of people who want to support you will go out of the way to do it. And you got to take care of people for it, man. I mean, the truth is, we know, everyone knows that's the bottom line. You got to make mortgage, you got to pay bills and all that. I do believe in time, people see through to the true, honest, folks who are running businesses, and they'll support them. And I think that's why they make it.
Yeah, correct. Because it's almost like I know where you're at. I know what you, and maybe if you're not a business owner, you might not say I know what you're going through, but at the same time, it's like I know the battles, like, because everyone has different battles, and as long as you're for many different aspects of life, but if you know that if someone's going through that, but they're being good about it, and then at least have great intentions, then you're going to support that person. That's just life in general.
Yeah, that is, and when people understand how much you care, that's when they care, right? And
what's like that. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Bingo. And I love all the quotes and the knowledge that you've had as far as those approaches, because things like Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie have written wonderful books that have inspired people to not only be entrepreneurs and be business owners, but to believe in themselves, right? Because when you're a business owner, you have to believe in you, right? You're presenting yourself at all times, and you have to be on, and it takes a lot to do that. And all the little quotes and the little self-motivation, I mean, that's what helps, because if from one business owner to another, you see how they start off.
Well, it also helps you make those like weird decisions easy. Right? It's like, I'm thinking about, like, I want to make sure people care, and they won't care until I care for them first. But then if there's a hard decision to make, it's like, well, what's going to help me the most care for this person out of this decision, right? Like, and then you go with that, and you know that that's going to be the right thing, because it's going to always just come back. It's like karma, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I think when you're a small business in the community, you have to develop a following, right? You have to have a crowd, a clientele, right? And you quickly figure out who your demographics are, and that's fine if you're smart enough to figure out ahead of time. Then you open up your business and you're actually already have people coming in the door. It is very hard to get people in the door. I think that's the number one thing that you have to look at, is if you're a new business or an established business, you just always need a steady group of new people coming in the door, right? There's always enough to go around in business, right? In the community, there's dentists that open up in the same building, right? And across the street from one another. They've done it for years, and people welcome that because it's good for business, right? It's good to share. And when you have a camaraderie amongst the community, you go out and you pay respects to another business owner. And it's great because we meet people all the time that we respect too, and in return, right? We try to send them business because it's like, I love what you do, and I support you. I'll come and be a client of yours, right? Like, that's the thing. As a business owner, you're a customer and client. You view things in a different way, right? I walk in the mall now, and there's no turning back, right? I'm just looking at all the little things that take to run that.
It's like, I'll have like friends that'll say we're all going out for dinner, and then they'll say, well, let's do reservations at like these 4 different places, and we'll make a decision on, let's say Friday, on where we're going to end up going. I'm like, no, like, that's not cool. Like, if you were to make reservations for my business and you don't show up, that's upsetting. It's almost like, and so I don't want to do that to somebody else either. And I know that sometimes it's like, well, you're going to a restaurant that has tons of waiting. It's like, sure, but it's still like, it's a different intention. I'm not comfortable with, right?
Yeah, I know. Look, there's been times that if you're out of another business and you see something going on that's probably, or even experienced it to where like there was a delay in your order or somebody screwed up big, it's up to you whether or not you want to react in a way based off what you know, right? Because as business owners, you go and you see the little things that need to go on that people don't see behind the scenes, right? And it embarrasses you if something happens where it rises on the surface and they figure out like, oh, they didn't have their shit together, right? Like that's not something you want to show either. And so yeah, it happens, which it happens all the time. Trust me, you're putting out fires all the time, right, in business, because the stress level that you don't have in the 9 to 5 is that, yeah, you show up and get your paycheck and you work hard, but in order for you to receive that paycheck, there's a whole team of people who are dishing out those funds and making sure those funds are in the bank to pay people to do what they do great. And that's why you need new clients, right? That's why you need established clients. That's why you need people to love you and support you. And so it's just like, how to win over friends and influence people. Like, and I've said that backwards, obviously, but, and it's one of those things that it's a skill. And as a business owner, you have to be personable. And if you're going to talk all the time, might as well talk about something that you love.
Sure. It's funny because like you can look at it from any belief system, right? Like if you're a Bible person, then it's like treat others the way that you would want to be treated or something like that. And it's true, right? Because it's like, and for me, it's always one of the things, the way that I think about it. Sometimes like you usually get more of what you put more attention to, right? Like you attract more of that. And so I want to love on people all the time because I want to be loved back. Not necessarily just me personally, but like our company or our supplements or whatever. And it's all done with a little bit of love, right? Because I always, every time I make a drink at the Slumberella bar, I'll say like, hey, I'm gonna do something a little extra. I'll just put a little love in, right? And then it's just and it's fun. And sometimes that means that I do add a little bit extra like magnesium because why not? I feel like they might need it, or I know they need it because they mentioned something, and it's just a little extra love. Like, why not?
Well, it's funny because you're a health tender, right?
Yeah.
Behind the bar, because we had this vitamin bar. This is where it all started, and he makes vitamin drinks, and it's cool because when he does that, it's like the long pour, right? Like it's this little top heavy. You did take the top shelf into the margarita when they played for the house one. It's taking care of those people because they come back, right? And they come and they spend their time with you, and they tell you what's going on in their lives, and those connections that you have with your customers are what's going to allow you to keep doing what you do and enjoying it, right? I tell you this right now, there's never been more stress in my life, ever. And I would not trade it for the world because I'm having the most fun that I've ever had in my life. It is a game. It's an adventure. It's not a hobby anymore. If you find something special enough to motivate you every day, it is a hobby, right? Because it's like, this is what I love to do. But when you make it what you think about all the time, your brain never shuts off and you always are thinking of ideas because there's always improvement. You never should be satisfied. It doesn't matter when you get to the top. When corporations are dominating whatever they're doing, they're dominating for consecutive years and quarters and centuries, just because they have it right. They know how to run a business. They figured out a system, and that's the other thing. Have a system in place. When you start looking at all the wonderful systems that have been established throughout businesses, they each have their own ideology and they have their own way of saying this is how things should be run in this company, because if someone else comes in, they know exactly where to pick up and leave off, right? And if that's your mentality for how things need to be organized in your life, I would say yes, definitely establish that in a business, because if you don't have it already, you just write it down. And you start writing it down until you can't anymore.
I think it starts with you too, to have a system for like how you operate with that. So your morning routine or like your rituals or whatever, because that's what's happening. The way I see it, the less you have to think about things, the better, right? So like, I mean, even Steve Jobs went all the way to like, I'm always wearing blue jeans and a black shirt because that's it. Like that's one less thing I have to worry about. I got plenty of other things to worry about. All right, so it's like, where else can you minimize decisions by making them a habit or a system for yourself?
I think it's about routine is a harsh word to kind of use when it comes to what you should establish on a daily routine. Like I think like a daily regimen, I guess is probably better. A regimen is where I think you have improvement and you modify and you adapt. A routine is mundane, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that you should always be adapting and improving and changing and modifying and trying new things. I will say this: I have a friend of ours that said like that quote, you got here because this is what got us here, right? Like I think it's what it is. We keep doing it because it got us here. Uh, I think that is true to a certain extent. I think you follow what has gotten you to that point and you own up to it because that's who you are, right? You are who you are. But then at the same time, you always adapt and you modify based off the feedback because no one's perfect and everyone can always improve. And so every day as a business owner, you should be improving in some way to look at this and change this. And if you're not, I guess either you've made it in your eyes, or maybe you've removed responsibility, or you just don't care anymore. I couldn't imagine not caring. I couldn't imagine. Every time that we serve a vitamin drink, we get a vitamin injection, a vitamin IV. We talk about diet. We talk about sleep. I mean, it means we care, and I think that's how people see it. And as long as you care, people are always going to gravitate towards you, and they'll always buy what you're selling. And we're all trying to sell something. We always got to pay the mortgage, right? And so I'm going to sleep better at night knowing that, what we're doing right now is not only helping people, but in business, that from that standpoint, but it's possibly going to change the world. Yeah, exactly. So thank y'all. It's short and sweet for whoever was listening. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, man. It was easy. Okay.